In my opinion, we have seriously reached a point where this government is putting out complete and utter rubbish propaganda. It's been a very long day, but a very productive one, I'm very pleased to say, but it does mean that I don't have the time or capacity really to mince my words, so I'll come straight to the point. If you do like this approach, please do subscribe, because I'm not the mainstream media. Let's go straight to this post. So the government put out via the Treasury yesterday at 4:30 p.m. this post here. No increases to rates of income tax, national insurance or VAT. Now, despite the fact that we have two members of government, including the Chancellor herself, saying that the increases to employer national insurance, despite the big bold headline that says no increases to national insurance or VAT, does affect working people, the Treasury actually wrote this post. Last week, we committed to protecting working people in the budget. That is why we are not increasing the basic, higher or additional rates of income tax, national insurance or VAT, despite the fact that they are also slapping VAT onto private school fees. More about that in just a moment. This, as you might expect, has been picked up by certain MPs, including Rupert Lowe, who said, "I've requested that the Treasury deletes and corrects this lie. No increases of rates to national insurance. Shameful and false propaganda." Frankly, I agree, because I do think this is false. This boldly says no increases to, and reading the next bit down, national insurance, which is patently untrue. There's been an increase to 15% for employer contributions, which the Chancellor herself has somewhat agreed will affect working people. And not only that, the post itself was subject to a community note on X, which details what I've been telling you in the last few videos, with the help of some of you guys who are qualified economists and have given your thoughts on it as well. This community note says as follows: the rate of employers' national insurance contributions was raised to 15%, a 1.2 increase, while the threshold beyond which employers' national insurance applies was cut from £9,100 to £5,000. In English, that means employers pay more, and they pay more sooner. They pay more on the threshold of £5,000, not £9,100. So that's widening the gap as to what they pay and when, and how much they pay. And this was directly linked to Institute of Fiscal Studies, the increase in employer national insurance contributions by employee earnings, and this goes through in great detail how that does indeed apply to the end worker. And it's attracted all sorts of other commentators as well. Education, not taxation, about school fees, come back to that in a moment, and Darren Grimes of GB News. This is a lie. Economists across the spectrum agree, including me. I'm not an economist, but I do agree because I can add. Do agree across the spectrum that increasing national insurance on employers means lower wages for workers and higher prices in shops and services. There are civil service codes that prohibit this kind of nakedly partisan campaigning. Now, we've also had reports from the CEO of Sainsbury's that said it's going to be an increase of something in the tune of £140 million cost to the business, which I understand they are the second largest by market share in the UK. And he's already said that this is going to have a knock-on effect on prices throughout the store. So not only is it going to affect workers directly because they are less likely to increase wages in the future because of the increased cost of employer national insurance, but it's going to increase costs on produce as well, because at the end of the day, they are not going to swallow this cost. They will pass that cost on somehow and somewhere. And so workers, again, at the end of the day, will be going out to buy groceries and they will be paying a higher price for them. So this is blatantly, patently untrue. No increase to national insurance is patently untrue in the way that it's worded there, in my opinion, of course. And it says that they are protecting working people. Well, I think a lot of people now agree that that is not quite the case. Now, also, education, not taxation, on the subject of VAT on school fees is another issue, because the vast majority of people that send their children to private schools are also working people. And this is a tax on working people. And it is an increase in, not an increase, it's an addition of VAT where it was not applied before. So again, this is applying to working people. This is, in my opinion, patently untrue. And not only that, we now get onto a situation where they've also said previously that there are plenty of spaces available in state schools to take those children that have to exit private schools because the parents can't afford the fees any longer. And despite that, we have countless examples now where that is just simply untrue. Now, we have this one here, which says, I'm looking for placements for my two daughters, one diagnosed dyslexia and one in S3 for August 24. We live in the catchment in this area. Both girls have received their confirmations. Can you please confirm whether you have spaces available? And the response to that was, unfortunately, we have no spaces at the moment. I've attached an application form if you'd like to be added to the waiting list. Complete this and return it back to us. There are further examples, such as this one from Bromley that said, we're writing to confirm receipt of your in-year application for a Bromley secondary school for the 24 to 25 academic year. Please be advised that it's not been possible to offer the child a place at any of your preferred Bromley schools, as they are currently full in the relevant year group. Let's repeat that. Please be advised that it's not been possible to offer the child a place at any of your preferred Bromley schools, as they are currently full in your relevant year group. The child's been added to the waiting lists for the Bromley schools list on the application. If a place becomes available any time during this year, we'll contact you. The waiting list closed, etc., etc. Please note, we do not process applications for the following schools. You must apply it to them directly. This is a story I hear again and again, and lots of people are struggling to find a place for their child or children at these schools, despite the assurance that there will be spaces available. It is simply patently untrue for a large number of people trying to find spaces for their children. So this, at what point does this become pure propaganda, trying to make people believe this when it is simply not true? Now, the problem that I have with all of that is this. So many people will just read some of these big, bold headlines here and not look any further. They won't look at the detail. They won't read around the subject. They won't take into account any other information. They will just see this and think, that's great. No increases to income tax, national insurance, VAT. They're protecting us and nothing's going to go up. They'll be in for a shock if they do believe all of that, because that, in my opinion, in the opinion of many others, including the IFS, say that that is just not true. It is likely to affect people in the long term via lower wages, increasing costs, increasing inflation, lower growth. The growth is going to go to practically zero. So that's the problem that I have with all of this. So many people are going to rely on these big, bold headlines and think that everything's fine. And so they won't change their spending patterns. They won't change their behaviors. And come 6, 12 months down the line or 18 months down the line, they will then suddenly realize, why is it that things are going up in price? Because shops, supermarkets, businesses will start to increase their prices in advance, probably to try to anticipate the change to all these costs as they come in. And then people are going to realize that they don't have as much money as they did before. And by that point, we are in a declining society. Now, without wandering too far into the economics of all of this, that is not high-level academic economics here. This is just very, very straightforward. If the cost of things go up, people have less money. But this is pure propaganda. So again, please be careful what you read, even if it comes from the Treasury themselves. Do read around the subject and don't just believe everything that you see here, including my video, by the way, because on occasion I will either misspeak or get something wrong, and I'm happy to be corrected, and I'll be humble enough to come back and do an update. But I try to rely on as much as I can here, which is authoritative in the way that they describe it. So please do leave me your thoughts, your comments below. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, because it's, I hope, thanks to independent channels like mine and lots of people that are willing to point this out online, and MPs, including Rupert Lowe as well, who are prepared to stand up and call out this when it is misleading and it is just patently inaccurate. So please do share my channel, leave me your comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.